sacking of the Kenyan force commander of the United Nations mission in South Sudan, Lieutenant General Johnson Ondieki. Kenya decided to withdraw all her 700-plus troops in protest after the force commander was sent home for reportedly failing to protect civilians in South Sudan capital, Juba, during the fighting in July.
And today we have started our withdrawal from South Sudan following the directive given by His Excellency the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Kenya Defense Forces last week. KDF has taken part in many peacekeeping operations from 1979 to date. To date, we have taken part in peacekeeping operations in 44 countries. In all these operations, Kenya Defense Forces have performed very well. They have performed with valor, gallantry, and we have also paid the ultimate price in some of the missions. These missions are still continuing in many parts of the world as it is today, and even within our region. We are committed in our peacekeeping operations as a credible and well-trained force, deeply rooted in professionalism. Today, we are very happy to have our soldiers back, and the total number of our soldiers who have come today are 100.
All right, so like I mentioned, that is one of the top stories we have for you this morning. And joining me in studio right now is George Musamali. He is a security expert to talk to us about this. Thank you so much, George, for joining us at News Center. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this decision to have the troops come back home. Was it emotional or was it objective?
I don't think, Betty, this was objective, bearing in mind that Kenya has always been part of the peacekeeping missions all over the world. As you heard Biwot say, we started doing this in 1979.
Right.
We've been to Bosnia, we've been to Yugoslavia, come back to Africa, we've served in Sierra Leone, Liberia, and we've always served with decoration. And the decision to pull out of Southern Sudan all of a sudden, I think this was a little bit emotional and it was too quick. And I think it's going to have negative repercussions on Kenya's reputation as a nation that contributes to the United Nations peacekeeping missions all over the world.
Let's talk about these repercussions. What are these repercussions? Because, I mean, there seemed to be quite a huge frustration with this whole process. So what are these repercussions that we're going to be expecting?
The United Nations actually always relies on some nations to give peacekeepers, and Kenya was one of the nations that has always been contributing soldiers to the peacekeeping mission. And we looked at the way we pulled out of Southern Sudan. We did not give the United Nations time to explain itself, the decision that it took. And the United Nations was not coming from nowhere. Remember, exactly what Kenya was being accused of, or the commander was being accused of, is exactly what led to the massacre in Rwanda. And I think the United Nations was trying to avoid this kind of scenario again. And this is why it had to take action when it looked like the commanders were complacent and allowed people to be killed under their watch. So I believe Kenyans should have tried to interrogate the reason why the United Nations decided to sack the commander and then leave the forces intact down there in Southern Sudan. And instead of just coming up and saying that we feel belittled and then pulling out the soldiers from this mission.
Was it too much of a reaction? I mean, the sacking of a commander and then this big repercussion happens, or this big thing of withdrawing troops, which is really a major issue. Does it balance out?
It doesn't balance out because this is an individual.
Yes.
And we are contributing to a mission. It was not Kenya that had deployed its soldiers to Southern Sudan as an individual country.
Yes.
It was under a mission, and there is a mandate for each mission, and I think we have agreements and rules on how we deploy and how we disengage ourselves from this mission. Did Kenya allow the UN to follow due process before withdrawing our troops from Southern Sudan? And if you look at the stake that Kenya has in Southern Sudan, I think we were better off inside Southern Sudan than outside. We were part of the CPA when we created Southern Sudan. We've been part of Southern Sudan since the birth of that country. To date, we've seen the crisis. We have great knowledge of the security situation in Southern Sudan. And I think for our own good, politically, economically, and even security-wise, it could have been advantageous for Kenya to remain in Southern Sudan than trying to play this role while outside. Remember, we are not only withdrawing the troops, but we've said we are not going to be part of the peace process at all. So we've completely disengaged from Southern Sudan, and we have a lot at stake in Southern Sudan. Kenyans have invested in Southern Sudan.
Yes.
We have Kenyans living in Southern Sudan. And we went further and arrested the spokesman of this SPLM, deported him to Southern Sudan, and already we have started receiving threats from a certain function of the rebels, saying that Kenyans are not assured of their security there. So this is a situation that we are in a catch-22 situation right now, Betty.
All right. I mean, Kenya has been, like you mentioned, sort of like a big brother to South Sudan, a very, very new country. What impact are we likely to see in regards to, like you mentioned, the Kenyans who are living there? Are we likely to see anything happen to them? Will it be, a difficult situation for them back there now that we've withdrawn?
It's going to be a difficult situation back there for us, Betty. Remember, this is not the first time we've had Kenyans being mistreated in Southern Sudan.
Yes.
And now we've even given them a better excuse to continue doing harassing Kenyans. It's not only Kenyans, East Africans have we've seen them being harassed in Southern Sudan to a point that you'll find that countries like Uganda started withdrawing their troops from Southern Sudan a very long time ago. And you'll find that we have stories whereby even Kenyans right now were arrested. They are still being held in Southern Sudan without being taken to court.
Yeah.
And right now, as it is, you'll find that our investments in Southern Sudan are going to be hit hard because we have two functions here. We have the rebels, we have the government.
Yes.
We don't know which one now will be backing us and who will not be backing us.
Okay.
And if you see the way we were deployed in Southern Sudan, basically Kenya was actually deployed majorly in the areas that were under the control of the rebels. And we still have people there working for the United Nations. We have people who opened businesses in Southern Sudan, and these businesses are going to be affected. So economically, the repercussions are going to be there. Politically, the repercussions are going to be there, and even security-wise. Most of the firearms that are being used in West Pokot and Marakwet find their way through the country through Southern Sudan.
Okay.
So our being there was actually ensuring also security within our borders.
Okay.
But now that we are out, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be a major challenge.
All right. You mentioned that Kenya was there as part of a mission. What role did it play a major role that the exit will really be felt by the other countries who were still there?
This is definite, Betty, because remember we've been there longer than all these other nations.
Okay.
And our being neighbors to Southern Sudan understand the dynamics of the situation in Sudan better than these other players.
Right.
So the impact is going to be felt. And definitely the United Nations will have to look for other partners that have better knowledge or equal knowledge to Kenya in matters of political and security stability in Southern Sudan.
Right.
So it's not going to be easy for the world.
Do you think there was some sort of frustration? Because even other countries are coming out and saying, look, you two need to work together. But, the people at the top of this whole, issue, that's, of course, Riek Machar and the president, they always seem to be having, it's like child's play sometimes. It may seem so, that they do not take the situation so seriously, yet there are people who are dying. The humanitarian crisis there is appalling. So do you think maybe it could be frustration that, we're trying to help you, but you're not trying to help yourselves?
Trying to help them and not helping themselves does not work out here, Betty. Remember, we've provided a safe haven for both Riek Machar and Salva Kiir.
Yes.
Their families are here. And I think what the United Nations was trying to tell Kenya, you are not pushing hard enough for this peace process to succeed. I think they expected more from Kenya as opposed to what we are giving. And this is why when they decided to sack this commander, remember this is the first time we've served in so many missions and we've served with distinction. You can remember people like Opande in Liberia,
Yes.
we had Mulinge in Sierra Leone. They were decorated there.
Yes.
Now, why all of a sudden the United Nations is feeling like a Kenyan commander failed? I think there is more to this than we're being told.
Yes.
And I think we need to dig further. The government should come out clearly and tell us the main reason. I'm looking at what we're being given as an excuse, not a reason per se of why we decided to withdraw our troops without following due process as to the United Nations program.
All right.
I mean, there's something here we are not being told.
And are there conversations that are still ongoing, in the background, like you mentioned, that will see the troops going back? Is it going to be easy as, the troops, okay, fine, let's go back to South Sudan? Is it as easy as that?
I don't think it's going to be easy because already the United Nations feels betrayed.
Okay.
Kenya should have given the United Nations a chance to explain itself. And then maybe they could have reached an amicable solution and said, yeah, okay, we messed here and we can withdraw your troops, or no, let's still have the troops here. And then the next course of action is going to be this.
Right.
But waking up one morning and saying we are going to withdraw, and then within a very short time, a spell of 10 days, we've already pulled out the troops. So it means like we were just waiting for this to happen, to happen so that we can withdraw from Southern Sudan and leave the Southern Sudanese at their own design. I think this is not the right thing for a nation that has a lot of interest in a country to do. Bearing in mind that it's not always acceptable to have a neighboring country to contribute peacekeeping troops to a country that it has so much interest, like the way Kenya has interest in Southern Sudan. I think we'll need to audit this. Why did the government decide to do this?
And, talking about why, the government has also come to say that, there are structural weaknesses, at the UN. What are these structural weaknesses that, would have led to such a big action?
Yeah, they're bringing that out. But so far, we've not been told exactly what they mean by structural weaknesses. They say Ondiek was in command since March or May to date, and they say that is a very short time for him to take command. But from my experience is that it only takes 2 weeks for a commander to orient himself with the
just
happening.
2 weeks.
Yeah, just 2 weeks is enough for you to decide on what to do. What orders were they given? And when it comes to Kenya, I feel there's that sense of impunity because somebody else has decided to act on a Kenyan commander failures. If we come back inside the country, you'll find that there's so many failures from the military structure, the way we handled the Westgate thing. That was actually a command failure. No action has been taken. You saw the Baragoi fiasco. Nobody has been held responsible for that. I think we're just getting used to having people failing and then not putting them to account for this.
So we're saying that there could be more that meets the eye than
there's
just
more
a
that,
simple
yes,
excuse.
I think this was just an excuse to get out of Southern Sudan. I think somebody somewhere was pushing too hard and Kenya had to act somehow so that we can say, now you see, we are out of there. You people can continue doing what you want.
All right. Thank you so much, Judge Msamali, for your insights. Interesting. Let's see, as the other troops come, 700 plus, will be coming back. Let's see what's going to happen. Thank you so much, Judge Msamali, their security expert. All right, let's